Hello everyone and welcome back to Monster Hunter Wilds. Today we're going to be talking about some brand new upcoming events coming into the game, and some of these are very exciting as they are things that fans have been anticipating for a very long time. We're also going to be talking about the upcoming collaboration and a few more details about the upcoming update that we're going to be getting before Title Update 2, also that you can be up to date and stay in the loop for Monster Hunter Wilds. With that being said, hello everyone, my name is Dark Hero and let's get started. So first and foremost, the Festival of Accord Blossom Dance is now over, having just concluded on May 7th. Hopefully you were able to enjoy the new look of the Grand Hub and crafted the awesome looking Sakura Tide armor set, got the new Palico gear and farmed some armor spheres. But as you can see here in the Grand Hub, everything has returned to normal. So hopefully you were also able to farm some armor spheres through the event quests. And speaking of which, we of course recently got Arc Tempered Raidao and its Gamma armor set in the event quest A Silent Flash. And while the Blossom Dance Festival may be over, you still have another week to farm the armor set as the event quest will go away on the 14th of May. Now what is new in Monster Hunter Wilds is the free challenge quest for Arc Tempered Raidao, where you can bring your own gear and compete to get a good clear time, and will be able to get some exclusive pendants as a reward depending on your clear times. So if we come over here to the arena quest counter, you can see under the free challenge quest tab, in order to achieve a B ranking you'll need to clear the quest in under 20 minutes, and in order to get an A ranking you'll need to clear it under 13 minutes. And of course the pendants that you can obtain by clearing this within the time limit become increasingly more impressive, with the one that you get for getting a C rank being nothing noteworthy. The B rank pendant is a nice decoration but nothing too special, but the A rank pendant is actually pretty cool. It has this very cool lighting glow effect to it, and it's cool to get these additional animated looks on your hunter. Also, one thing that is very important and you should be aware of is that if you come over here and you simply post the free challenge quest, it's going to set you up as a 4-player quest by default, and therefore the game will scale Raidao to have much greater health, though you will be accompanied by NPC support hunters. That said, you'll probably get a faster time doing it solo, so in order to change this, go over here into your settings and make sure that you select the max amount of members to 1, or however many players you're going to be playing with, and you can also disable the support hunters by selecting only players, and it'll be much easier for you to achieve your record time. This is a fun challenging fight, especially given the time limit to get all of the rewards, as Arc Tempered Raidao has got some new moves and follow-ups, and is even able to one-shot you with some of its biggest attacks. So if you have been slacking and are a bit rusty on Wilds, you may be in for a surprise card or two. Though admittedly the hardest part about the fight is the fact that it starts on the Raidao nest, which is covered in lightning and is going to make everything a little bit easier to perfect block or dodge, as there's going to be the follow-up thunder strikes and they're going to hurt like hell. Now I'm sure we're going to see some people cheating to get their clear times, especially on PC, but at this point I don't really care about that. I'm just going to go in, beat the crap out of Raidao, and get a decent time that I'm satisfied with to get those rewards. Honestly, at this point I'm just happy that Capcom changed the way they did rewards. They are no longer limiting the amount of players that can achieve the highest rank of reward, which means that even if cheaters are able to get into the leaderboards, they're not going to be taking anyone's reward as a result. And as I explained before, Capcom is also going on the offensive banning these players, so as time goes on we're going to be seeing less and less of them. Now moving on to the new content, the new event quests coming to Monster Hunter Wilds. These are pretty exciting, as these new event quests and new content that is coming a little bit later down the road is again things that people have been asking for a very long time, with the first one being the Running Wild event quest that will require you to be hunter rank 21 or higher and will take place in the ruins of Iveria, where you will need to hunt down a Guardian Fulgur Engineer. Completing this quest will reward you with special materials that you will need to craft the Sealed Dragon Cloth headgear. And of course the Sealed Dragon Cloth is the headgear that a lot of people have been asking for a very long time, as it has become iconic in the Monster Hunter community. It likely isn't going to have any good stats, but let's be real here, everyone wants to have this because of the fashion, because as we all know, fashion hunting truly is the endgame of Monster Hunter. And after all, what's cool than having this big piece of cloth that is disguised as a stylish scarf that is somehow able to always float up in the air. Now the next event quest is called Roping Around and will require you to be hunter rank 9 or higher, and will take place in the Oil Well Basin, where you will hunt down a Rompopolo. By completing the quest, you'll be given much shrimp, which is of course one of the ingredients you can use whenever you cook at the barbecue. And in case you aren't aware, mud shrimps can give you the tumbler meal food skill, which will slightly extend the invulnerability period whenever you evade. And the next quest is called Peak Nursilla, which will require you to be hunter rank 9 or higher, will take place in the Ice Shard Cliffs, and will have you hunting a Nursilla. And upon completion, you'll be given fluffy eggs, which you can use as an ingredient to cook your meals, and will award you with the food skill Caprice Meal Low, which will repeatedly activate a temporary attack boost at random intervals. And seeing as you can't really have unlimited ingredients in Monster Hunter Wilds, having a surefire way for you to be able to quickly farm all of these ingredients can be very beneficial. These 3 quests will become available on the 21st of May, and the Sealed Dragon Cloth quest in particular will be going away on the 4th of June, whereas the other 2 will be going away on the 28th of May. Now that said, another thing that I want to talk about is the upcoming Capcom collaboration, something that was announced a long time ago now as part of the Title Update 1 roadmap. You can see it there at the very bottom of the roadmap, and we still have no idea of when that is going to be or what that is going to entail. Now, given that we already have all of this scheduled for the upcoming content coming into the game up until the end of May, that is to say the 28th of May to be precise, I would wager that right after that, it would be the perfect time to release the Capcom collaboration, have another big Title Update livestream where they showcase the content coming into Title Update 2, as I would also expect Title Update 2 to then be released in June. Now, given that we know for a fact that this is going to be a Capcom collaboration, there's only really a couple of games that I can foresee this being, and in my opinion, it's either going to be Devil May Cry 5 or Street Fighter 6. Devil May Cry 5 makes sense because we just had the Netflix anime series, which frankly wasn't all that good in my opinion, but we all know and love Dante and Virgil, and it would be really cool to get a layered armored version of Dante's and Virgil's costumes, and potentially getting their weapons as well. The way they did the Devil May Cry collab in Monster Hunter World, with Dante's Rebellion being a charge blade, was pretty cool, and if they were to add Virgil, we would of course also get Virgil's Yamato as a longsword, so that would be pretty hype. And as for Street Fighter 6, it simply is a very successful game that is still ongoing, they're still releasing DLC, and it's still very popular, definitely one of the most popular fighting games out there, if not the most popular right now, so again, it simply makes perfect sense. It would be pretty cool if they did something with Dragon's Dogma 2 or Exoprimals maybe, but I honestly cannot see them going that far. So if we get a Street Fighter 6 collab, it likely is going to be a Ryu and Chun-Li outfit like we did get in the past, something along those lines, nothing too exciting, but a fun additional thing to have. Now that said, when I talked about the roadmap, I'm sure many of you were also reminded of the end of May update that was briefly mentioned as an update that we're going to be getting before Title Update 2 that is going to add some quality of life stuff as well as some big weapon buffs and nerfs. And we actually already know quite a bit about this end of May update, which is something that I want to talk about. So one of the most exciting features that people have been asking for pretty much since the beginning of the game is layered weapons, as since the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, the best weapons to use for almost every weapon type in the game have been the Artian weapons, and while some of them do look good, eventually you get sick of them and you want to try some of the cool different weapon visuals, as we do have some pretty fantastic weapon designs this time around compared to World, but because we don't have layered weapons, we simply cannot enjoy them. And layered weapons have been confirmed to be coming into the game in a future update, but sadly we do not know for a fact if they are coming in the end of May update or if we're going to be getting them in a title update like titled Update 2 in the summer, for example. Though given how easy it would be to implement layered weapons into the game, I don't think it would be too difficult to do so. I could totally see them doing it in the end of May update. Now what we do know about this end of May update is that they will be adding a feature where you'll be able to see all of the endemic life that you have captured, which again is something that people have wanted for a long time, though of course it's not going to be something as cool as having your own player house that you can customize and decorate with all kinds of creatures and things that you can collect. It's a little bit lame in comparison, but at least they are addressing this complaint. Now as for the planned big weapon buffs and nerfs, Capcom has stated that the hammer is being considered for buffs, so that is pretty much a confirmation that it is getting buffed in my opinion. As I talked about in the past, the hammer hasn't been performing too well. It really is one of the underdogs of the melee weapons in Monster Hunter Wilds that, along with the bowguns, just feel much worse to play in my opinion compared to many of the other weapons. So hopefully the developers are able to buff them in a meaningful way so that they can be brought up to speed in comparison to the rest of the weapons. And not just in terms of how powerful the weapons are, but also make them more fun to play as well. It was also mentioned that they would be adjusting some unintentionally overpowered things, so I am curious to see what they're going to be doing. They have mentioned in the past that the bow and the longsword might be a bit too strong, and that they're going to be looking at those weapons and how they approach them in the future, so we're going to see what happens with those weapons. Now, this is not to be confused with the list of buffs and nerfs that many weapons received in Title Update 1, which included a buff for the lance in the form of an improved finisher, some quality of life bug fixes for the hammer and the hunting horn, a pretty big nerf for the bogans damage while riding on top of the sacred, which while it was a fun novelty as a playstyle, it probably is one of the non-intended things that they talked about. They probably don't want to have hunters simply standing on top of the sacred running around a monster and doing a lot of damage that way, so they ended up nerfing that playstyle into the ground. Now, the bow did get a very cool change in Title Update 1, where they did nerf the damage on the Dragon Piercer, but they have increased the elemental values on the weapon and have given it some additional power on some other aspects, which I think have also made the bow a more fun weapon. And I think that is the approach that they should take with all of the weapon balancing moving forward, not purely trying to look at the damage numbers, but also trying to enable different playstyles, because when you see that people are always using the same move over and over again and not utilizing much of the weapon's kit, that is where you should try to add some value and broaden the scope of what the weapon already can have, especially if it's a weapon with a very wide moveset. And of course, this was also the same update that changed the corrupted mental by making it much weaker, though it is still a very powerful mental, and they have improved the evasion mental, the mending mental, and the rocksteady mental. Now, apparently there were also some skills that were stealth buffed and nerfed on that same Title Update 1 patch, and on that note, I just really wish that Capcom would be more transparent, not just with their patch notes, but also even the smallest things like skills descriptions. This is something that I've complained about in my videos in the past. I've even talked to Jono, the community manager, about this. It's very frustrating because how is anyone supposed to figure out what latent power does? Truly one of the Capcom skills of all time. At this point, I'm not even going to ask them to show their actual number changes in the patch notes, as much as I would love for that to be a thing. I'd be happy if they just made the descriptions clear and accurate for once. And lastly, the biggest content drop out of all of them is of course Title Update 2, which is scheduled to be released in summer of 2025. And the only thing we currently know about Title Update 2 is that it is going to be adding Lagiacrus, the flagship monster of Monster Hunter Tri, to Monster Hunter Wilds. This is quite possibly the most anticipated monster in the entire series, as the last time we saw him was in Generations Ultimate, and given that he was even supposed to be added to Monster Hunter World, but it was eventually cut off during the development process, he's just one of those special monsters that people have grown attached to and they want to see return, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to be making Lagiacrus in Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, the way that they did Mizutsune in Monster Hunter Wilds was pretty cool. They ended up giving him a bunch of moves from Violent Mizutsune and Soulseer Mizutsune from Rise, Sunbreak, and Generations Ultimate respectively, and it ultimately ended up making the monster a lot cooler and more engaging, much more fun to hunt in my opinion compared to the previous games, though it is a bit weird that both the tempered and the non-tempered version of the monster have access to these powerful moves. I was expecting tempered Mizutsune to have all of those powerful attacks, but the fact that the regular Mizutsune also has them is a little bit strange. But honestly, that's just a pet peeve of mine. If they end up adding a bunch of moves from Ivory and Abyssal Lagiacrus to the Lagiacrus we get in Wilds, he may just end up becoming the best version of the monster we ever had, and that would be pretty cool. And of course, Title Update 2 is going to have more than just Lagiacrus. We're likely going to be getting a new arc-tempered monster, and potentially we're going to be seeing some revamped endgame system, and who knows, maybe they have an additional surprise for us. Like for example, when we got Stygian Zinogre, we also got Safi'jiiva in the same update, but they didn't tell us about it. We had to actually go into the game and play it to find out that Safi'jiiva was in the game, and we couldn't even hunt it. You could fight it once, and you couldn't kill it then. It was a really cool experience, as no one in the community had any idea about what was happening. So if they can pull off that kind of surprise, I think it would be a huge deal for the game and the player base. Because let's be honest, a lot of the interest in the game has already waned down a little bit. This is in part because Wilds is a very generous game in the amount of rewards that it gives you. You're able to finish your endgame build in a very fast amount of time, as you don't have to grind for some rare decorations, as you are pretty much showered with decorations missions whenever you farm investigations, and with the endgame being so much revolved around the art and weapons, you can also farm those very quickly, and you can be set with a pretty powerful endgame build without honestly putting a lot of effort. All of this to say that, at this point, a huge surprise like this would be a huge deal for the community, and it would bring a lot of players back, because while we did get a lot of players back when Mizutsune was added, people beat Mizutsune as well as Zoshia in a day or two, and then stopped playing the game altogether, which honestly, who can blame them? It's your free time, you do with it whatever you want to, but ultimately I just want a big surprise to reinvigorate the love that a lot of players have for the game, and to bring back a bigger portion of the community back into the game. Though with that said, let me know how you guys feel about all of this. Are you excited about the upcoming content for Monster Hunter Wilds? And of course, as we get more news, I'm going to be updating you guys on the channel, so you can look forward to all of that new content. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Dark Hero, and as always, happy hunting.